The Bretons are an ethnic group located in the region of Brittany in France. They trace much of their heritage to groups of Brittonic speakers who emigrated from southwestern Great Britain, including Cornwall, to avoid invading Germanic tribes. They also descend from the Gauls and in some parts from Vikings. They migrated in waves from the 3rd to 9th century into the Armorican Peninsula, which was subsequently named Brittany after them. The main traditional language of Brittany is Breton, spoken in Lower Brittany. Today, Breton is spoken by approximately 365,000 people, of whom about 240,000 speak it fluently. Another minority language of Brittany is Gallo. Gallo is spoken only in Upper Brittany, where Breton has never been strong. As one of the Brythonic languages, Breton is related closely to Cornish and more distantly to Welsh, while the Gallo language is a Romance language of the Languedoil group. Currently, most Bretons' native language is Standard French. Brittany and its people are counted as one of the 6 Celtic nations. Ethnically, along with the Cornish and Welsh, the Bretons are the last vestiges of the ancient Britons. The actual number of ethnic Bretons in Brittany and France as a whole is difficult to assess, as the French government does not collect statistics on ethnicity. The population of Brittany, as of a January 2007 estimate, was 4,365,500. It is said that, in 1914, over 1 million people spoke Breton west of the boundary between Breton and Gallo-speaking regions, roughly 90% of the population of the western half of Brittany. In 1945, it was about 75%, and today, in all of Brittany, the most optimistic estimate would be that 20% of Bretons can speak Breton. Brittany has a population of roughly 4 million, including the department of Loire-Atlantique, which the Vichy government separated from official Brittany in 1941. Three-quarters of the estimated 200,000 to 250,000 Breton speakers using Breton as an everyday language today are over the age of 65. A strong historical emigration has created a Breton diaspora within the French borders and in the overseas departments and territories of France. It is mainly established in the Paris area, where more than 1 million people claim Breton heritage. Many Breton families have also emigrated to the Americas, predominantly to Canada and the United States. Some of the first white settlers to permanently settle the French West Indies, i.e., Guadeloupe and Martinique, were from the region of Brittany, where one can still see remnants of their culture alive to this day. The only places outside of Brittany that still retain significant Breton customs are in Ile-de-France, Le Havre and in Isles des Saints, where a group of Breton families settled there in the mid-17th century. History. Historical origins of the Bretons in the late 4th century AD. Large numbers of British auxiliary troops in the Roman army may have been stationed in Armorica. The 9th century Historia Brittonum states that the Emperor Magnus Maximus, who withdrew Roman forces from Britain, settled his troops in the province. Nennius and Gildas mention a second wave of Britons settling in Armorica in the following century to escape the invading Anglo-Saxons and Scotta. Modern archaeology also supports a two-wave migration. It is generally accepted that the Brythonic speakers who arrived gave the region its current name, as well as the Breton language, Bretoneg, a sister language to Welsh and Cornish. There are numerous records of Celtic Christian missionaries migrating from Britain during the second wave of Breton colonization, especially the legendary 7 founder saints of Brittany as well as St. Gildas. As in Cornwall, many Breton towns are named after these early saints. The Irish St. Columbanus was also active in Brittany and is commemorated accordingly at St. Columban in Carnac. In the early Middle Ages, Brittany was divided into 3 kingdoms, Domnonia, Cornouailles, and Bro-Warrock, which eventually were incorporated into the Duchy of Brittany. The first 2 kingdoms seem to derive their names from the homelands of the migrating tribes in Britain, Cornwall and Devon. Bro-Warrock derives from the name of one of the first known Breton rulers, who dominated the region of Vannes. The rulers of Domnonne, such as Connemore, sought to expand their territory, claiming overlordship over all Bretons, though there was constant tension between local lords. Bretons were the most prominent of the non-Norman forces in the Norman invasion of England. A number of Breton families were of the highest rank in the new society and were tied to the Normans by marriage. The Scottish clan Stuart and the royal house of Stuart have Breton origins. Alan of Penthever, also known as Alan the Red, was both a cousin and knight in the retinue of William the Conqueror. Following his service at Hastings, he was rewarded with large estates in Yorkshire. At the time of his death, he was by far the richest noble in England. His manorial holding at Richmond ensured a Breton presence in northern England. The earldom of Richmond later became an appanage of the Dukes of Brittany. Modern Breton identity. Many people throughout France claim Breton ethnicity, including a few French celebrities such as Marion Cotillard, Malik Zidi, Patrick Poivre d'Arvor, Joanne Gourcuff, Noel Wen Leroy and Jan Tiersen. After 15 years of disputes in the French courts, the European Court of Justice recognized Breton nationality to the 6 children of Jean-Jacques and Mireille Manrotte Le Goarnog. They are European citizens of Breton nationality. In 2015, Jonathan Lebris started a legal battle against the French administration to claim this status. Breton diaspora. The Breton diaspora includes Breton immigrants in some cities of France like Paris, Le Havre and Toulon. Breton Canadians and Breton Americans, along with other French immigrants in other parts of the Americas. Some of the more notable examples include Jack Kerouac, Celine Dion, Augusto Pinochet, and Sylvester Stallone. Culture. Religion. The Breton people are predominantly Roman Catholic, with minorities of Protestant, Reformed and non-religious people. Brittany was one of the most staunchly Roman Catholic regions in all of France. Attendance at Sunday Mass dropped during the 1970s and the 1980s, but other religious practices such as pilgrimages have experienced a revival. This includes St. Trobrige, which takes place in the shrines of the 7 founding saints of Breton Christianity. The Christian tradition is widely respected by both believers and non-believers, who see it as a symbol of Breton heritage and culture. Breton religious tradition places great emphasis on the 7 founder saints. Saint Paul Aurelian, at Saint Paul de Reliacuto n. Saint Tuduel, at Tréguier. Saint Brieux, at Saint Brieux. Saint Malo, at Saint Malo. Saint Samson of Dol, at Dol de Bretagne. Saint Patin, at Vannes. Saint Corentin, at Quimper. Pardon Day. Pardon is the patron saint's feast day of the parish. It often begins with a procession followed by Mass in honor of the saint. Pardons are often accompanied by small village fairs. The 3 most famous pardons are Saint Andorre, Santes Anawend, Tréguier, Landraga, in honor of Saint Yves, Locronan, Lochorn, in honor of Saint Ronan, with a tromeni and numerous people in traditional costumes. Trobrige. There is an ancient pilgrimage called the Trobrige which involves pilgrims walking around Brittany from the grave of one of the 7 founder saints to another. Nowadays pilgrims complete the circuit over the course of several years. In 2002, the Trobrige included a special pilgrimage to Wales, symbolically making the reverse journey of the Welshman Saint Paul Aurelian, Saint Brieuc, and Saint Samson. According to Breton religious tradition, whoever does not make the pilgrimage at least once in his lifetime will be condemned to make it after his death, advancing only by the length of his coffin each 7 years. Folklore and traditional beliefs and pagan customs from the old pre-Christian tradition remain the folklore of Brittany. The most powerful folk figure is the Ankou, or the Reaper of Death. Language. The Breton language is a very important part of Breton identity. Breton itself is a Brythonic Celtic language closely related to Cornish and a bit more distantly to Welsh. The Breton language as such is a part of the Insular Celtic language group. and more distantly related to the extinct continental Celtic languages such as Gaulish that were formerly spoken on the European mainland. In eastern Brittany, a regional Romance slang DOIL named Gallo developed. It shares certain points of vocabulary, idiom, and pronunciation with Breton. Neither language has official status under French law, however. Some still use Breton as an everyday language, and bilingual road signs are common in the west of Brittany. From 1880 to the mid-20th century, Breton was banned from the French school system, and children were punished for speaking it in a similar way to the application of the Welsh not in Wales during the 19th and 20th centuries. The situation changed in 1951 with the Ditton law allowing Breton language and culture to be taught 1 to 3 hours a week in the public school system on the proviso that a teacher was both able and prepared to do so. In modern times, a number of schools and colleges have emerged with the aim of providing Breton medium education or bilingual Breton-French education. There are 4 main Breton dialects: Gwynedig, Cernaveg, Leonig and Tregerig, which have varying degrees of mutual intelligibility. In 1908, a standard orthography was devised. The 4th dialect, Gwynedig, was not included in this reform, but was included in the later orthographic reform of 1941. Breton language media newspapers, magazines and online journals available in Breton include Al-Lanv, based in Quimper, Al-Liam, Luana Gruzig, and Breman. There are a number of radio stations with broadcasts in the Breton language, namely Arvorag FM, France Bleu Amérique, France Bleu Breigezel, Radio Brogwend, Radio Kern, and Radio Cries Brige. Television programs in Breton are also available on France 3 Brige, France 3 Iroiser, TV Brige and TV Rennes. There are also a number of Breton language weekly and monthly magazines available to Breton speakers. Music. Fest Nos. A Fest Nos is a traditional festival in Brittany. Many Festu Nos are held outside Brittany, taking regional Breton culture outside Brittany. Although the traditional dances of the Fest Nos are old, some dating back to the Middle Ages, the Fest Nos tradition is itself more recent, dating back to the 1950s. Fest Nos was officially registered on Wednesday, December 5, 2012 by UNESCO on the representative list of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Traditional dance. There are many traditional Breton dances, the most well-known being Gavots and Diaro, the Hunter Diaro, and the Plin. During the Fest Nos, most dances are practiced in a chain or in a circle. However, there are also dances in pairs and choreographed dances with sequences and figures. Traditional Breton music. 2 main types of Breton music are a choral a cappella tradition called Canhardis Khan, and music involving instruments, including purely instrumental music. Traditional instruments include the bombarder and the Breton bagpipes. Other instruments often found are the diatonic accordion, the clarinet, and occasionally violin, as well as the hurdy-gurdy. After the Second World War, Scottish bagpipes became commonplace in Brittany through the bagadoo and thus often replaced the biniocoge. The basic clarinet had all but disappeared but has regained popularity over the past few years. Modern Breton music. Nowadays, groups with many different styles of music may be found, ranging from rock to jazz such as Red Cardell, ethno-rock, Dawal and Skaduz, as well as punk. Some modern Fest Nos groups also use electronic keyboards and synthesizers, for example Stropanel, Sony Riendu, Les Barragoaners, and Plantec. Breton cuisine. Breton cuisine contains many elements from the wider French culinary tradition. Local specialities include chouchen, a type of Breton mead, chistr, cider, farce fawn, a kind of sweet suet pudding with prunes, coue and amon, mean butter pastry, crampourge, thin pancakes made either from wheat or buckwheat flour, usually eaten as a main course. Lamberg, apéro de vie, Symbols of Brittany. Traditional Breton symbols or symbols of Brittany include the national anthem Brogoj Mars Adal based on the Welsh hen Wladf Wynador. The traditional motto of the former Dukes of Brittany is Kentoc Mervel get Bezan Seotrit in Breton, or Potius Mori Quam Fodari in Latin. The National Day is observed on the 1st of August, the feast of Saint Erwan. The ermine is an important symbol of Brittany reflected in the ancient blazons of the Duchy of Brittany and also in the chivalric order, L'Ordre de Hermine. Images of Brittany. William Adolphe Bouguereau, Breton brother and sister. Paul Gauguin, Breton girl. Émile Bernard, Breton women at a wall. Vannes Cathedral. City Hall of Rennes. Castle of the Dukes of Brittany. Huelgoat is the ancestral home of the Kerouac family. City of Quimper. City of St. Malo. The Bagad of Llanbithawai of the French Navy. Breton pipe player.